A furious Canada is striking back hard at the Trump regime after the insults by Trump regime Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick this week, where Lutnick said that Canada sucks because it has boycotted American goods and services after Donald Trump threatened to make Canada the 51st state and threaten Canada's sovereignty. Prime Minister Carney yesterday held a press conference where he was asked, so why don't you just give up the boycott as it relates to alcohol products from the United States? Why don't you just tell the people of Canada to stop it? It's an irritant. It's annoying the Americans. Come on, you're doing a negotiation right now and a evaluation of CUSMA, the Canada-United States-Mexico agreement. America wants you to do that. Why don't you do it, Carney? Watch us, Carney, say, you know what the real irritant is? The real irritant is that the Trump regime keeps attacking us. Play the clip.
And what if this alcohol thing becomes more than an irritant? Look,
you know what's an irritant? Yeah. 50% tariff on steel, 50% tariff on aluminum, 25% tariff on automobiles, all the tariffs on forest products. Those are more than irritants. Those are violations of our trade deal.
More from Prime Minister Carney here as he says, I don't wake up in the morning and think, I wonder how I could help the United States, or I wonder what the United States is thinking today. He goes, I wake up and I think, how can I help Canadians? How can we make Canada a better, more prosperous place? Here, play this clip.
What do you think rupture means? Rupture means that things aren't normal. Nostalgia is not a strategy. Things have changed. Things have changed fundamentally. We get that. We understand that. That's why we get up in the morning. What do we think about when we get up in the morning? We think about affordability for Canadians, how we can make life more affordable, and how we can build this country strong, more independent, more prosperous, fairer for all. That's what we get. And our negotiations with the United States and how we diversify our partnerships elsewhere. We don't get up first thing in the morning. I do not get up first thing in the morning and think about the United States. Okay? I think about Canadians. That's the difference. We have more than enough to do in this country. We're building this place strong. There is a misimpression by some of the degree to which we are reliant on the United States. Okay? Yes, it is our biggest trading partner by far. We are also their second biggest trading partner. There is a symbiosis between the two. There's a reason why 85% of our trade is tariff-free still, and that's maintained. Our destiny is first and foremost going to be determined by what we do here, how we build here. Canadians get that. Canadians get that. I'm not sure everyone south of the border understands that to the extent it is true.
And then Prime Minister Carney at this press conference said, you know what? I'm sorry if the Trump regime thinks that our negotiations are too tough for them, but that's what a negotiation is. I'm not sitting here writing down notes from Trump and Lutnick and their trade representative, Jamieson Greer. We're going to assert our position. Where we could find areas of agreement, great. And where we don't, we will address those. But we're not going to be stenographers for what Donald Trump wants, where that doesn't help Canada. We're going to stand up. Here, play this clip.
I guess my confusion stems from the fact that the Americans are saying, not really a negotiation. We're laying out what we need to see Canada do, and Canada's not meeting us there.
That's a negotiation. That's a position. Yana, there's two parties in a negotiation. Mm-hmm. One, we're not sitting here taking notes, okay, and taking instruction from the United States. Understanding their position. We understand where it's in Canada's interest, in our joint interests to be stronger together. And this is a government that can do many things at one time. We set up, to go back to today, we set up Build Canada Homes. It literally was set up in September. The legislation to give it all of its authorities is still working its way through the House. We're glad that we have a majority now. We can move that forward more rapidly.
And it wasn't just Prime Minister Carney striking back. Meidas Canada, with Charlie Angus in charge, they delivered an incredible slapback as it relates to Howard Lutnick's insult. Take a listen to what Angus had to say about Howard Lutnick. He goes, Howard Lutnick, you suck. Here, play this clip.
Howard Lutnick, you suck. No, seriously, you really suck. I feel the need to bring this message to you on behalf of the people of Canada who work hard, who play fair, who do their part to build a good society, and they wake up in the morning and they see you on TV insulting our nation and pushing us around and thinking we're like these scrawny kids who are going to give you our lunch money. No, it ain't going to happen. So if that was your strategy, it sucks. It really does. I'm just going to go through a few of the reasons you suck. As a trade negotiator, you suck big time. As a human being, you really suck. And we're going to talk about that. I know it's not comfortable talk for you, but we got to go through there. And then we're going to talk about you as a guy who's supposed to represent the best interests of the American people. On that, you super suck. So let's get down to the first thing. So we are on the verge of renegotiating CUSMA, the North American Free Trade Deal, the biggest trade agreement basically in the world that creates $1 trillion in reciprocal trade between the United States and Canada every single year. That you sell 3 times more products into Canada than you do from China. And that we are a bigger exporter into the United States than China. And yet you say that we suck. Yeah. That you hate us. The same attitude that Donald Trump has, that you think we're some kind of grifters. So you set that up as the terms for the discussion. And then you say we got to pay to play, that we got to give you all kinds of concessions before you'll talk to us. That's a real brilliant strategy, dude, because what that's done is given serious backbone to our prime minister, and woe to any political leader in Canada who does try and give you concessions, because the Canadian people now are paying really close attention to these negotiations, and they're seriously pissed, and they want to give you sweet F all because you're just such a jerk. That's why you suck as a trade negotiator.
More from Charlie Angus right here, who leads Meidas Canada. Let's play this clip.
Now, as a human being, tell us about that photo of Epstein Island, because, I've been reading about your claims about knowing Epstein, and it just doesn't make sense. So in 2005, you find out Epstein's your next door neighbor. So fair enough, you and your wife go over to visit your neighbor. Perfectly normal, I'd say, I guess, for people who live next door to millionaires like Epstein. And you said that when you got the tour, you were incredibly creeped out because he was making these creepy sexual innuendos. And you said, and in the 6 to 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided I would never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again. Well, that's what any decent human being would say, right? And then Epstein got convicted of sex with an underage person at a time of a major FBI investigation into sex with underage girls. And then there were multiple rumors that Epstein was involved in all manner of sex trafficking with youth, your next door neighbor, and you didn't know any of that. And you said you were never going to be with that disgusting person ever again. And then the Epstein files dropped and we saw your picture at Epstein Island. So then you had to admit, oh, right. Yeah, in 2012, you called him up and went to hang out with him on the island. And you said, quote, my wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies. And I had another couple that were there as well with their children. Did you tell that couple about how disgusting Epstein was? Why would you bring your children, dude, to be in the presence of a man that you thought was so disgusting you would never be in the same room with him again? And yet you showed up at his island and brought your kids? Yeah, as a human being, Howard, you suck. And don't take my word for it. I was listening to Republican member of the House, Thomas Massey, who said, you really needed to resign. He said, really? He, that's you, Howard, should make life easier on the president, frankly, and just resign. Now, there you go. Me and Republicans sharing something in common. It's because you suck.
And I want to show you this other clip I should have shared with you before of Prime Minister Carney. He mocks the United States for always saying mission accomplished before a mission's accomplished. And he goes, look, we're just getting started here in Canada, okay? You're not going to see us do mission accomplished banners. We know that there's a lot of work ahead, tough work ahead, but we are going to fight. Here, play this clip.
Your critics say, are we getting good value for all your time out of the country? Can you maybe...
Well, I think a couple of things. One, we're going to have a spring update, and you'll get an update in terms of how the economy is performing, how non-U.S. exports are performing. I just suggest take a look at that. and also look at the fact that from a foreign direct investment per capita basis, we far outstrip anyone else in the G7. And we're just getting started. These decisions take time, but what you're already seeing is Canadian exports to markets other than the United States responding significantly, and incoming capital coming to Canada. We're just getting started. You're going to see more, but the momentum's there. So yes, in my view, we're getting good value. We got a lot more to do. I will say with all of this, the reason I say we're just getting started because we're starting to shift things, but we're no way satisfied. You're going to see a lot of Maison Canada, Building Canada Homes banners. You're not going to see any mission accomplished banners behind us.
And then Prime Minister Carney talked more about the CUSMA negotiations. Let's play it.
There are a series of trade issues between the countries. Most of the issues have been raised by the United States, either in terms of things they want to see changed in Canada. There are a series of tariff measures the United States has put in place which are in violation of the existing agreement. The tariffs on steel, the tariffs on aluminum, the tariffs on automobiles, the tariffs on forest products. Those are not consistent with the existing agreement. We look forward to sitting down. We have an exchange around these issues, both in terms of understanding what I'll use their term, they often use trade irritants, a series of measures, which would include actions that have been taken in response to the American measures, such as the provincial actions. These are provincial actions with respect to alcohol on the shelves. I mean, you got to remember, the client here are the provincial liquor authorities. They make the decisions what they put on their shelf. And they make those decisions based on a series of considerations, and they've taken that into account. So our work is as follows. With respect specifically to the negotiations, is to be prepared on all of the issues to provide our perspective and address, to negotiate in the round on all of these issues. This is a review process that's baked into the existing framework of the agreement, and as well to see where there are opportunities where we can be stronger together, and there are a number of those. We have those discussions as a whole.
And then we also heard from Ontario Premier Doug Ford. Now, Doug Ford's with the Conservative Party, but at the provincial level, not at the federal level. And Doug Ford's been, I think, an ally of Prime Minister Carney, even though Ford was previously Maple MAGA back in the first Trump term. And even though he was trying to give Donald Trump a chance, at least at the very early stages after Trump won the election in 2024. But Doug Ford's been a kind of consistent voice of punching back and striking back against the Trump regime. Let's play this clip right here.
The Americans are losing out on tens of billions of dollars, no matter if it's going down to Florida or going to Las Vegas or any other place that we go. Because there's so many marriages that one side's Canadian, one side's American, or vice versa. It's unfortunate that Canadians are boycotting spending tens of billions of dollars in the U.S. This can come to a quick end. Everyone can thrive and prosper. I have a recommendation for President Trump. Take a page out of President Ronald Reagan, the greatest president the U.S. has ever seen. He was about making sure we open up trade, not just to Canada, but everywhere in the world. And that stirs the economy. That creates more opportunities. It creates more jobs for the American people.
More from Doug Ford right here. Let's play it.
A tariff on Canada is a tax on America. And I'll give you a couple examples. The auto sector has lost $107 billion since the tariffs came in effect. Tourism is down by 30%, $4.5 billion. 90,000 American manufacturing jobs are gone. And this is not what the president ran on. He ran on making sure there's more jobs. Well, now there's less jobs because of the tariffs that he's put on Canada. Your number one customer in the world. We buy more products than anyone, and vice versa. America buys more products off Canada than anyone. So we've been so intertwined, we have to get back to the table and start negotiating.
And finally, here's what Doug Ford had to say as well. Let's play it.
What's your view of the Secretary's comments, and how do you expect they will impact the upcoming trade negotiations between the U.S. and Canada?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. And, Mr. Lutnick can say whatever he wants, and we know one thing. Canadians love Americans. I love Americans. We love the U.S., and I know Americans love Canadians. I've spent 20 years of my life in the U.S. We just have to move forward and make a deal. And as for the imbalance, I'll tell you the actual facts. The facts are, if we didn't ship 4 million barrels of oil down to keep people moving in their cars and in their trucks and so on and so forth, there'd be a $30 billion surplus that the U.S. has on Canada. And as for Ontario, just Ontario alone, well, that 9 million Americans wake up every morning to produce a product, a widget, or a service just for Ontario. And the more tariffs that come, you're just taxing American people. We see the oil prices going through the roof. We see the cost of cars going through the roof. We see every single good that is being sold in the U.S. Everything is increasing because of the tariffs. I want a great USMCA deal that benefits both. You can't unscramble an egg that's been around for generations and decades. You have to make the omelet larger. That's our philosophy. And we're going to continue negotiating in good faith. And we won't be calling each other names. I promise you that.
Now, I just want to remind you that the insults that I referenced in the title of this video, and then I talked about at the outset of this video, it took place, well, it takes place every day. I mean, this is how the Trump regime treats Canada always insulting to Canada. And Canada knows that. They're following these developments. They know, for example, that the United States ambassador to Canada is just a horrible human being who hates Canada and always tries at every turn to attack Canada. But you had Donald Trump's Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, testifying before the United States Senate. And then you had New Hampshire Senator Shaheen. And of course, there are a lot of connections there between New Hampshire and Canada. And she cross-examined Lutnick about, why do you keep attacking Canada? You do realize that that has resulted in a massive Canadian boycott against the United States, which has caused a significant drop in tourism dollars into the United States. The United States is like the only country to lose tourism dollars. Play this clip.
Okay. Last year, according to the World Travel and Tourism Council, the United States saw a 5.5% decline in international visitors. We were the only major economy to see any decline. In my home state of New Hampshire, tourism is the second largest industry, both by revenue, and it supports 70,000 jobs. Canada has long been our largest share of foreign visitors, but last year we saw a 30% drop in Canadian tourism, largely due to the loss of trust and goodwill because of this administration's rhetoric around Canada. Secretary Lutnick, last week, you said about Canada's economic strategy, and I quote, "They suck." I believe your spokesperson then said this was about Canada's economy leeching off of the U.S. How does insulting our closest ally and neighbor help the businesses in my state of New Hampshire and states all across this country who are hurting because of the loss of Canadian business and tourism?
Canada's economy leans on the incredible $30 trillion economy of America. But
there's no doubt about that, Mr. Secretary. But insulting our closest ally and neighbor who provides a lot of business. We have a lot of businesses in New Hampshire, small businesses who work on both sides of the border. We have all those Canadian visitors who are not coming because of your comments and comments by the administration. How does that help our economy?
It is outrageous that Canada will not put U.S. spirits on the shelf. It is insulting.
It is.
And disrespectful to America that they won't
Absolutely.
even put.
And my husband has an interest in a company that has American spirits. And they won't do it because of the insults from this president and comments like yours. So I want to go on to another question.
But can I have just one small comment, which is dairy is treated so badly and your state cares about dairy, and we are trying desperately to get them to live to the deal that they have on USMCA and stop treating our dairy farmers so poorly, and your state cares about that, and we are fighting for that.
We do, but we are not going to get agreement when we keep insulting people. When we have allies and partners, we should try and work with them, not insult them. And I find your rhetoric insulting to the people in my state who are working so hard to try and ensure that they can do business.
And then finally, how are Donald Trump's tariffs against the world and against Canada playing internationally and in Canada? Take a look at this segment right here on CNN where they talk about Trump's tariffs against Canada and other countries and how it's backfired on Trump and how leaders like Carney and Scheinbaum and others, if they assert themselves and step up against Donald Trump, they've been rewarded politically. Let's play it.
Take a look here. I mean, this just gives you the name of the game. Americans on Trump and tariff in the 2024 election versus Kamala Harris. Look at this. Trump was trusted more on tariffs by 12 points. But look at his net approval rating down. Look at that. That's an over 40-point shift away from the President of the United States. He's 48 points underwater with independence on tariffs. This is just a political disaster. And the longer he drags it out, the more and more it can hurt his political standing.
Well, it certainly hurt the economies, not just the people's pockets, businesses' pockets, but also the world. Did anyone benefit from this when it comes to like global leadership?
Yeah, the people who stood up against Donald Trump. That's who benefited from it. I mean, just take a look here. I mean, Mark Carney, obviously in Canada, look at this. His net approval rating plus 24 points. How about the president of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum? Look at this, plus 41 points on the net approval rating. So the people who stood up to Trump on tariffs, those are the people who benefited versus Donald Trump. When he went up against these world leaders, well, he just went right straight into the political basement.
Well, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.